What an intro. So hello and welcome to the TechRise Season 5 Clean Tech Pitch Competition, and happy Friday. I'm Tafir Hamed, P33's Chief Growth Officer, and I'm excited to be here with you all today to host our Clean Tech Competition, where you will see 5 amazing and innovative founders take the virtual stage. As a reminder, TechRise is an initiative that P33 started in 2021 to support early stage entrepreneurs across the Chicagoland region to access 3 things: capital, networks, and knowledge, which are crucial to take an emerging business from idea stage to exit. TechRise was built on the belief that while entrepreneurial talent exists in every corner of our city, access to the capital, networks, and knowledge needed to grow and scale a business must be expanded to match the potential. All right, now let's dive into things. As a reminder, how our competition works. Each of the 5 founders you'll see today will only have 4 minutes, amazingly impressive, to deliver each pitch, followed by 4 minutes to answer 1 question from each of our 3 VC judges that we're excited to have today. I'm about to introduce on stage. Once everyone's pitch, we'll welcome Chris Gladwin, P33's board chair and founder and CEO of Ocient, along with Lorenzo Mendez, principal at the Rockefeller Foundation, for a fireside chat while the judges have the tough job of deliberating a winner of today's $25,000 non-dilutive prize. I don't admire those guys. And with that, let's welcome our judges and get started. First, please welcome Vic Pascucci. Vic is the co-founder and managing partner at Energy Capital Ventures, the only early-stage VC fund focused exclusively on the resilience, sustainability, and digital transformation of the natural gas industry. He has over 20 years of experience in venture capital and financial services, with a top decile investment track record and leadership in more than $750 million in VC and M&A transactions. Vic has led investments in companies like Coinbase, IDMe, MX, ClearCover, and currently serves on the boards of several climate and tech-focused startups. Please welcome Vic. Next, we are joined by Bachimeg Ganbatar. Bachimeg is the co-founder and managing partner of Nomadic Venture Partners, a VC firm investing in early-stage technologies that decarbonize mining, manufacturing, and heavy transportation. She's led marketing efforts in major brands like Airbnb, Allstate, and Kraft Heinz, and has co-founded startups in fintech and energy efficiency. Bachimeg has also supported portfolio companies at Lofty Ventures and Gen 1 Capital. Welcome. And finally, we are joined by Michelle Carr. Michelle is the Chief Executive Officer of Evergreen Climate Innovations, which finds, funds, and grows early-stage climate tech companies in the greater Midwest, contributing to local economic development and job creation. Evergreen pioneered the 501c VC investment fund model to align philanthropic and corporate contributions to deliver environmental, economic, and social impact in tackling the climate crisis. Welcome, Michelle. All right, now that we've introduced our judges, let's kick this off this amazing Friday. Founder number 1 is Josiah Longenecker of Klaravia, and let's give him a warm welcome as he's our first founder pitching. Josiah, take us away.
Well, hi there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Like she said, I'm Josiah Longenecker with Klaravia, and here at Klaravia, we're on a mission to make going solar simple. We remove sales pressure, we introduce transparency to the solar industry, we empower homeowners to make informed energy decisions on their terms. And just to give you a quick lay of the land here, about 20 years ago, solar was nearly non-existent for homeowners. It was priced out of reach for almost everyone. By 2015, advancements in technology and green initiatives started lowering costs and slowly increased adoption. Fast forward to today, Now solar has never been more affordable. Equipment costs have dropped over 90%, while utility rates have nearly tripled over the past 2 decades. Meanwhile, the aging US power grid is struggling to keep up with demand, recently leading to a US energy federal state of emergency being declared. This has resulted in the early stages of a surging move to solar. But there's a massive problem, and that's that the residential solar buying process is absolutely broken. See, the industry, it's flooded with confusion, with high pressure sales tactics, high commissions that increase expenses, and overall just a lack of honesty. In fact, surveys show that an astonishing 7 of 8 homeowners who expressed interest in going solar gave up simply because they didn't know where to turn for a better purchasing solution. Well, that's where Klaravia comes in. Our simple solar online marketplace puts homeowners back in control by providing instant, transparent, and competitive quotes within seconds, and all without the need for a salesperson reaching out to them. Homeowners can now compare pre-vetted installers, ensuring they get the best price and full support all the way from initial interest all the way until the system is on their home. Now homeowners can see their estimated savings, they can design their ideal rooftop solar system, view quotes and details from quality installers that are local to them, and receive robust education, live updates, and full support all the way from initial interest through system activation. And the residential solar market's booming. Over 27 million homes here in the United States are projected to go solar over the next decade. And that's due to rising energy costs, really robust federal incentives, and growing concern over grid reliability. It's all contributing to that demand. But for solar to truly reach its full potential, the experience has to improve. And that's what we resolve. Right now, our platform is live in 10 states, and we plan to expand nationally very quickly. As far as our go-to-market strategy and how we're reaching customers, right now we are partnered with a digital marketing agency, EverProsper, who's leading the charge. Our average customer acquisition costs when we are going through Google and Facebook advertisements to reach customers is about $1,100 to $1,200 a customer. We also have affiliate marketing partnerships and referral programs that are driving growth as well. And unlike our competitors, Energy Sage or Solar.com or Project Solar, like I mentioned, we don't require a sales call or give out homeowner information to dozens of companies before our homeowners can see quotes and design a system for them. Our platform allows you to choose a partner without any sort of sales harassment or tactics. And we come alongside homeowners to help them from start to finish. We help them confidently choose their solar system. We keep them informed every step of the way. And we fill gaps that traditionally exist in the installer's process, providing robust education, providing live updates from start to finish, and frontline customer support, whereas installers really lack in those areas. And as mentioned, right now we're live with in about 10 states. We've partnered with the Department of Energy and our advisors who are in the solar industry to create some financial projections. For the sake of time, I'm happy to share more details about this in the Q&A portion. But we are so excited about the positive change that we're making for homeowners all across the nation right now. Our platform meaningfully gives families the ability to take back control of their energy prosperity and confidently become energy dependent on their terms. So thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to any questions you might have.
Amazing job. Thanks so much, Josiah. Now we'll
Thank
take
you.
questions from our judges. And we'll start with Vic.
Sure. Hey, Josiah.
Morning.
What got you interested in this problem?
Yeah, one of my really good friends back in early 2023 was a manager of a solar sales team, and he was hiring people as fast as he could. There was a lot of turnover, and he came to me and said, there's got to be a better solution. I just feel so terrible about how unethical all of our practices and what they're telling me to preach. And I hear from homeowners constantly that they sign a contract and don't know what they're getting into. So I figured there's he figured there's got to be a better way, and I am a certified financial planner. There are marketplaces for things like insurance or investment products that are very similar to the platform that we've created here. So I came to my co-founder, who's a software developer, and we built this system. So it's a system that exists. Think of Carvana, things like that, but for an industry that really lacks a lot of transparency and honesty, but an industry that's growing very rapidly and has the combination of need and federal incentives kind of forcing demand. So we just believe the stars align in that industry, and we can really make a positive change for the US as well by allowing people to go grid independent.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Josiah. Great presentation. I'm curious, what about your platform is it that allows you to avoid the on-site visits that competitors like Energy Sage require?
That's a great question. So an on-site visit is still going to be required by the installer. They're going to need boots on the roof just because we collect as much information as we can from the homeowner in order to kick out a system that's going to be as accurate as it can be with the variables that they've answered. However, homeowners don't know if they need a new electric box, or their county might have a mandate that solar panels can only be X inches from the edge of the roof as opposed to, Y inches. And so all that to say, we've partnered with EagleView, who's the leader in virtual designs. We run a virtual design that the customer has and they can see solar on their roof, and we give that to the installer as well. But ultimately, the installer is going to want to schedule the site visit, and that's actually the first point of contact between the customer and the installer. We facilitate and schedule that site visit for them.
Josiah, can you talk a little bit more on the installer side of the house? How many installers do you have active within your marketplace?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Right now, we have about 30 installers active. We started onboarding a couple of months ago. We keep barriers very low, the barrier to entry very low for installers right now. So we do not charge them any sort of fee to be on our platform. We simply gather as much information as we can. We get wholesale costs from them, which is another benefit of our marketplace. They don't have any customer acquisition costs when it comes to a customer finding them through us and then us pairing them. So we're able to get a lower cost through us. And then we add our margin, which is 40 cents per watt on top of that. It undercuts traditional sales commission. It's about a third of traditional sales commission. But all that to say, we've got about 30 right now. We're live in 10 states. We are marketing currently in 2 states, running digital advertisements, which we just started this month. And expansion is really just a matter of capacity. Right now, it's my co-founder and I, and he's the developer, and I'm the business, trying to go get new business and get our name out there. But ultimately, part of what we would use these funds for is to bring on another business development manager who could just full-time reach out to more installers and try to grow our reach.
Amazing. Anything else you want to leave us with, Josiah?
I just really appreciate the opportunity. And I will say, we started this in April of 2023, so it's been 2 years of developing. We've done things the right way. We've really tried to build a solid, stable foundation. We've gotten a lot of advice that we would have to be more sales pressure-y or more deceptive in ways with our contract to get more business, and we haven't been willing to budge on the terms that we want to do this the right way, even if that means launching more slowly. So all that to say, these funds we've bootstrapped the entire way, and we're now in the expansion stage where we really feel like we're set to grow and kind of ride this J curve of solar growth with the rest of the industry. So super appreciate the opportunity.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Amazing job. Awesome. Next, we'll welcome Edward of Metasorbex. Take the stage, Edward.
Find my PowerPoint. Is this something I can share? What?
Edward, if you prefer to send us your deck and we can adjust the order if it's not working out, that works too.
Oh, here we go. It is way in the bottom.
Great, we are seeing it.
Okay, can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Terrific. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Metasorbex is a seed-stage startup focused on AI infrastructure technology. We provide off-grid, low-cost, low-carbon electricity to address the rate-limiting factors of growth in AI deployment. The fact that we have an exponential increase in energy demand from data centers, from crypto and AI, is causing all kinds of problems. 3 problems to be exact. One is a timing mismatch of building or constructing a grid transmission line, which takes 6 to 7 years, along with permitting, and only takes 24 months to develop a data center. So this timing mismatch is causing a lot of headaches. Second, customer want low carbon electricity, but dispatchable. Renewables cannot do that. Renewables is far from the grid, raising the connection cost to the grid. So our solution is to capture carbon emissions from the diesel and natural gas generators, convert that into methanol. This carbon waste is something that we can lower the carbon emissions across the globe. And the matchup we have is graphene materials. So what this process does for data centers is provide a low carbon and circular fuel, self-sustaining at their site. Second, we designed it to be small and modular, allowing for scalability as demand grows. Third, more importantly, our CapEx payback is 6 months, and the OpEx reduction is 2/3. This is the biggest deal. We'll skip the 2 technology slide until later, unless you want to talk about it now. The market is huge, at $500 billion today. We're not projecting anything. This is today's market. And the details can be talked about over Q&A. But I want to talk about here and now. The beachhead market we have is data centers. Around the globe is $10 billion, pretty small, but manageable. And the serviceable attainable market is 5.4 million for data centers around the globe. So there's tens, even hundreds of data centers around the globe. The rate is pretty fast, 16% CAGR. Customer interest spans across the entire supply chain to purchase chemical feedstocks. We talked about the data centers as a beachhead, but the adjacent markets are even larger. Utilities, oil and gas, engine OEMs, and consumer product goods. Our team is experienced 20+ years of corporate innovation and business development. We focus on cost-effective strategies and not green premium. And we understand that industry emphasis on incremental innovations and not disruptions. Our material is patented and is best in class. And we believe that our insight position us best for success. Our round is open for the seed round. We have 4 active discussions, 1 potential term sheet, 2 VCs, and 2 CVCs. The $25,000 would unlock partnership with CVCs and could accelerate the term sheet closing. The use of fund for $25,000 is to purchase and assemble the carbon capture unit and M-Hub. Engineering design and the equipment specs are completed. We just got to use the funds to finish build out, and this will allow us to partner with CVCs on site. So 3 takeaways: big mismatch in energy demands and supply. We provide a solution of low carbon, circular on-site generation, and we deploy the $25,000 to unlock the CVC partnerships. Thank you.
Great pitch, Edward, and thank you so much. Let's start with Bachi Meg and then go to Michelle and then Vic for questions.
Thank you, Edward. Can you share a little bit more about your go-to-market strategy? How do you plan to scale into these markets?
The direct sales is going to be what we're going to do. Joe, one of our guys in business development, he has direct access to data center customers right now, along with the chemical customers that I have, along with Joe. So this is going to be direct sales. In terms of a channel market, we're not going to be hiring a whole staff of folks to do that, but to leverage the channel strategy that we deploy in chemical industry. In other words, there are distributors in the chemical industry that can basically call on the customers, and then we can train them to sell the product. So direct sales initially, and then we'll leverage the channel strategy of distribution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Edward. What is the cost per ton of CO2 for you, or the cost implication for using your materials to capture the carbon?
Yeah, let me kind of address the entire price point. The carbon capture is about $20 a ton. That's not as important as the production of methanol. We talked about being cost effective. Right now, we're looking at around $300 a ton. Today's cost is $350. So we are beating today's cost without asking for a premium. And the other thing that we want to address too is burning diesel and natural gas. On an energy basis, on a megajoule basis, we are cost effective than buying natural gas or diesel. In effect, the customer is saving money, OpEx, by using methanol instead of buying gases from customers. So they're saving money in addition to having low carbon and circular fuel.
Hi, Edward. Probably want to dig into this a little later with you, but you hit on a lot of the stuff. Michelle asked a lot of questions. I did, but sorbents and catalysts work really, really, really well, but they've always been really, 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 really unscalable and really, 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 really expensive. Even when you're using like the off-the-shelf stuff with like from take your pick, Air Liquide, Evonik, go anywhere you want with it, and so. And that energy tax in producing methanol has historically been horrendous. Like with the energy going in, granted, you're taking flue gas to produce, it's always kind of gotten upside down on things. So in addition to the TEA on that Michelle touched on, I'm really interested in how you're going to bring down the cost around the sorbents and catalysts, or if you've got your own proprietary sorbent and catalyst. You kind of went through that graph really quick, so I wasn't able to capture that, but maybe just do it quickly and then we can take it offline after that.
So there are the two materials that we are going to be monetizing, sorbent and the catalyst. The unit economics of solvent goes to capacity, how much we can capture per mass of material. Ours is 10 times as high as anyone else, 10 times. Second is the recycle rate of the solvent. We're 100 times. So basically what we're doing is we're driving down the cost of solvent capture per mass. So that put it aside. On the catalyst side, it is expensive on a per mass basis, but the productivity that we have over today's production, 3 times the productivity. And that's what drives everything toward below cost of today's material. That's what we're trying to do. We don't need green premium.
Yeah.
We know how to cost reduce.
Excellent. Thank you.
And that is time. Great job, Edward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Turn the camera off.
And next up, let's welcome Yewande from Salutaba to the virtual stage. Take it away.
Thank you very much. I'd like to share my screen. Hello, everyone. My name is Yewande, and I am a co-founder at Salutaba. And at Salutaba, we make modular shoes from recycled plastic bottles. In a year alone, there are over 381 million tons of plastic waste produced. Sadly, 91% of these wastes have never been recycled. And so with a background in environmental science, the arts, and in shoe design, my team and I started imagining how we could convert all of the plastic waste in our environment to shoes. And so here's our innovation. Not only are our shoes made from recycled plastic waste, but they're also modular in form. Modular in the sense that one can readily detach an upper component and attach as many uppers in as many colors as possible. We currently hold a global patent on this innovation. Our shoes are breathable, durable, and stain-free. And because we realize that the downwell impact of these pollutants affect the people in the underserved communities the most, we have decided to commit 5% of our profits to the cause of empowering people in underserved communities. On our customers' initial purchase, they receive a full shoe and an extra modular component. We have also infused a subscription model into our business, which we call modularity as a service. This enables us to generate recurring revenue from the sale of our upper modular pieces all year round. We also plan to generate revenue from licensing our patents. By 2027, the global footwear market will be valued at $564 billion, while the sustainable footwear market is growing at 13% per year. We cater to conscious consumers, men and women seeking an experience of comfort, quality, and service differentiation. We currently hold 2 global patents. We've generated $840,000 in revenue, and we have set off over 800,000 kilograms of CO2 equivalent. We are backed by Techstars and Render Capital, and we've gone ahead to validate our cause by winning many local and global awards. Our team is comprised of individuals with complementary skill sets necessary to scale our innovation globally. Our team is also strategically positioned for customer growth and acquisition. My co-founder, Fela, is in charge of design and engineering. I am in charge of operations, and we have key advisors from the likes of Nike, Adidas, and more. What's next for us, you may ask? We're currently in research and development, developing this carbon decomposition shoe technology, which we filed a patent for. These are shoes which trap atmospheric carbon, and through each mechanical action from the consumer, releases breathable oxygen. As that November last year, we attained proof of concept on this technology. With $25,000, 50% of this will be invested into marketing and sales, 30% to support our R&D efforts, while 20% will be used to further our brand shepherd partnerships. And so join us in ending plastic waste one shoe at a time. Thank you very much.
Amazing pitch and product, Yewande. Thank you so much. And I hope they come in kid sizes, because I have a 5 and 8-year-old and I go through a pair of shoes. I feel like a week. I will pass it over to the judges. I'll start with Michelle and then Bachimag and Vic. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, I had morel mushrooms last night for dinner, and I love that design. It looked like a morel, that carbon capture. Where are you manufacturing, and how are you thinking about tariffs if the answer is not here?
Okay, yeah. We currently manufacture in Portugal and in Italy in the EU, but we're currently looking to localize our manufacturing. And this is because of the tariffs, but also because of the need to, have more local impact. And also the technology we're building is currently built in the US.
Hi, can you talk a little bit about your traction? How are you getting, early traction these days?
Yes. Till date, we've sold 6,000 shoes, and we usually get traction from ads. We do a lot of advertisements on social media, particularly Instagram and TikTok. And this is really how, and we also leverage influencer marketing as well. We partner with influencers especially fashion influencers, footwear influencers, and this also drives traction. Additionally, we also attend events. When we're invited to pitch, sometimes we get stalls where we showcase our shoes, and through this we generate sales and leads as well.
And Vic?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Do you guys, maybe I missed it, just what's the actual BOM for a pair of shoes? And then how do you take the build order materials for a pair of shoes? And then what's your guys' strategy to take those costs down over time, other than through scale?
Yeah. To make a pair of shoes, we use about 25 PET plastic bottles, and it costs us 100 euros to make one shoe. But that consists of 2 uppers and 1 base. And in the future, we actually plan to drive that down by working locally with artisans and shoe manufacturers here in the US.
Great. Thank you.
Amazing. Anything you want to leave us with, Yewande?
Yes, I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And at Salutaba, our vision is to invent lifestyle technologies that help people and the planet. We've started with our flagship product of modular shoes, repurposed from ocean plastics. And we're moving into our revolutionary carbon decomposition shoe technology, which also finds application in parallel markets in industries such as the aeronautics, automotive industries, and also the built environment. And we are really confident that with this support and with this grant, we'll be able to further scale our venture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great job. Next up, let's welcome Stephen from Estelle Ingenuity. Stephen, take it away.
All right, can everybody hear me perfectly fine?
You sound great.
Great. Give me a second. All right. So, in the United States alone, 17% of all greenhouse gases come from motor vehicles driven by you and I. That is roughly 4.6 metric tons of carbon emissions every year for each passenger vehicle. That's about the mass of 2 large pickup trucks. Simultaneously, 94% of motor vehicle accidents that happen in this country are due to driver error, resulting in about 40,000 fatalities annually. Autonomous driving EV companies such as Waymo and Nuro are trying to tackle these severe problems with their fleets of fully autonomous taxis and delivery vehicles. However, with the rise of autonomous driving technology, this brings about new problems that need to be solved to properly combat carbon emissions and human driving error. These fully autonomous EVs simply do not have a fully autonomous charging infrastructure. In addition, some solutions being made do not cater to the larger EVs, such as buses and semi-trucks, which lack any kind of autonomous charging solution. So this is where Spinergy comes in. Spinergy is an autonomous EV charger adapter for all autonomous driving EV taxis and delivery vehicles that doesn't replace the current EV charging ecosystem. Using our patent pending technology, Spinergy works connecting in between the current EV chargers and EVs. For example, an EV charger commonly used in the EV infrastructure plugs into Spinergy. Spinergy then acts as an adapter that will autonomously plug into EVs, delivering the power from the EV charging station to the autonomously driving electric vehicle. With over 30,000 autonomous driving vehicles worldwide, the total market opportunity available is over $420 billion, particularly targeting the USA market with a size over $1,000 billion and with 1,400 autonomous vehicles on the road. We hope to service the 400 autonomous vehicles driving in some of the major cities. What makes this so revolutionary is that the autonomous vehicle market is expected to grow continuously by about 40% annually for the next projected 7 years. Similarly, EVs are expected to grow 20% annually over the next few years. Partnerships are essential, with an estimated $2,000 needed for us to form each one. We offer two models, a product model for in-house use and a subscription model with Spinergy stations in high traffic areas, allowing autonomous EVs to charge without returning to their own headquarters, ultimately saving them time and energy of going in between the cities and their company. Spinergy stands out with its autonomous alignment and charging capabilities, enhancing rather than replacing the existing EV infrastructure. It works with any EV without permanent modifications and retains a wired connection to ensure compatibility with the fastest charging stations. The $25,000 from TechRise will help us build relationships with autonomous EV companies in Atlanta, Austin, and LA, focused on transporting people and goods. Our goal is to meet with one company per month and secure one partnership per year. A quarter of the funds will also go towards enhancing Spinergy with AI for smarter EV charging. Our team consists of 2 engineers, myself specializing in product development, and my brother, an EV project manager working with fleets at companies like PepsiCo and UPS. With collaboration with the Illinois Institute of Technology and Gary Sullivan through a patent pro bono program, we were able to protect our IP for Spinergy. So last, a wave of innovation to help reduce greenhouse emissions and lower human error while driving is here, and Spinergy is part of this movement. We envision a safer and greener future for transportation, and it starts with how we charge our vehicles. Thank you.
Awesome pitch, Stephen. Thank you so much. And if our judges can come back for Q&A, we'll get started with Vic with the first question.
Yeah, help me understand how the charging is solving human error.
Right. So the idea is that we want to help improve the autonomous EV infrastructure that's going to be coming on. And by helping improving the autonomous EV market, we'll be able to have less people potentially driving behind the wheels doing drunk driving or different kind of illegal tasks, which ultimately results into that human error. Essentially, by having no worries of humans driving the car, it'll eliminate the human error.
Okay.
Bachime?
Hey, Stephen, autonomous vehicles are still at its infancy and they haven't quite scaled. How do you plan to go to market when the industry you're targeting is still at its infancy? Are you planning to target other EVs, for instance?
Right. So because of the patent that we have, it's not solely just towards the electrical cars. So the idea is that they're also inventing and producing electrical vehicles outside of cars, such as electrical airborne airplanes or drones or other vehicles like that. And so the idea is that here in the United States, it will be electric vehicles, but it's not solely limited to just the cars, but any electric transportation that is being used worldwide as well, ultimately expanding the market opportunity for the use of Spinergy.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my question, I'm going to go for a sneaky twofer.
Yeah.
What power losses can be expected by adding your device in between like an existing power charger in the vehicle? And then just from a risk perspective, do you consider wireless charging your biggest risk?
Right.
So power loss and wireless charging, where does that come in?
Yeah. So currently they do have some form of like adapters that do go on some of the EV chargers. If you have like a Tesla charger versus another European plug. And when they do implement those, the resistance inside of the plug, they make sure that the material is correct so that there is no resistance and power loss. And so when we design our device, we'll have to make sure to use the correct conductive materials to limit any form of resistance and to limit the distance of the electricity traveling to make sure that there isn't any significant power loss in that case. And then for our device, we're mainly focused on having a wired connection. So the wired connection will then allow for the fast chargers so that people can have their cars charged and back in service when they need it. Wireless charging might have some loss in power due to the space in between the vehicles, as well as limited because you have some EVs that are higher off the ground. which means that they aren't able to use some of the wireless charging due to just the distance in between the pad and the bottom of the vehicle.
Amazing. Anything you want to leave us with, Stephen?
I would say that for me, when I look at the autonomous market and seeing the autonomous driving taxis around the cities such as LA, Atlanta, and they're starting to come out in the north as well, I noticed that there is going to be a big revolutionary shift in the United States for electric vehicles and autonomous driving cars. And this inspired me because when I was traveling around and I would see people coming from Europe and I would see just how advanced they are in already their electric vehicle market, I want to do my best to try to help the United States really push into the electric vehicle market while also capturing this new innovative autonomous driving vehicle market as well at the same time.
Amazing. Great pitch. Thanks so much, Stephen.
Thank you.
All right. Founder number 5, Eddy. Let's welcome Eddy to the stage of Earnest Agriculture.
Ready to go. Hello, everyone. Thanks for the time today. I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Eddy Mejia. I'm co-founder and CEO of Earnest Agriculture. And what we do is we harness ancient microbes using our proven platform to create combinations and to deliver consistent, positive results for farmers. So currently in agriculture for chemicals, there's usually one problem and they solve it with one chemical. So if there's a problem, there's one chemical, that's how they solve it. With biologicals, which is bacteria or anything natural, they've been trying to use the same approach. But the problem is that bacteria or these biologicals they're not optimal for one problem, one solution. And this has caused biologicals to have inconsistent performance. So they work one year, they don't work another year. Now, Earnest, we looked at protected untouched prairies, where there live microbes that will protect and promote plant growth the way nature intended. And what we did is we brought 3,000 of these bacteria back to our laboratory, and we put it through a proprietary algorithm that looks at 3 things: the conditions the microbes thrive in, the mechanisms they use to benefit the plants, and the resources they consume to design and optimize the perfect microbial consortium. If any of you have seen the movie Moneyball, instead of matching baseball players, we're matching bacteria strains. So this is very, very innovative in our industry. With this algorithm, we developed 2 products, and we sell a seed treatment. So there's a seed, we sell the treatment that goes on top of the seed. And when that plant germinates, the roots go through it, it pierces the treatment, and then the bacteria works on the roots. Prairie Power is our biostimulant, does nutrient efficiency and plant resilience. And then Prairie Plus is our biopesticide, which adds on ceiling disease defense. The reason we released 2 products is because of regulatory approval. The Environmental Protection Agency is the one that oversees these products. Biostimulant, low risk, it's state by state. You submit the label and they approve it basically in a week, 2 weeks. The biopesticide for us would cost $2 million and take 18 to 36 months. So that's more of a long-term play and the play that gets us acquired in the end. But the biostimulant is the one that gets his money now in the door. So we're the only biopesticide seed coating using non-GMO bacterial consortium. And the good analogy I like to use here, we basically give the plant a buffet to pick up from. So the plant can synergize with the bacteria in our product. So our product has 8 bacteria and it covers, so each plant decides if it needs nutrient help, plant resilience help, or disease help. And so this is very, again, different from what other biologicals are doing in the space. But our platform is also our value, because we're able to work with these other biological companies to develop combinations in combinations with them, with partnership with them. Just like they do in seed genetics, we can do in biological seed coatings or anything in biologicals. So our products have proven well. In 2023 and 2024, we had consistent performance, 6% yield increase across those 2 years. And we outcompeted biological competitors by up to 45%. So you see they dropped yields by up to 25%. And then in our disease trials, we outperformed chemical alternatives by 5%. So what this means to the farmer is they basically put in $15 and they get $53 back. So 4.5 in bushels and then they get to reduce 20 pounds of fertilizer per day. And so 1 pound of fertilizer is equivalent to 4 CO2, so 4 pounds of CO2. And so we can not only save them money, but also help the environment by reducing the number of fertilizers that we use currently. And as you can see, the overuse of fertilizers causes red tides up in the Gulf of America now. So big problem. And so our product really is a natural solution for farmers that gives them the same thing they do with chemicals, but we're more money and more naturally. So we sell to seed developers, who then sell to retailers and farmers. The reason we chose seed developers is because that's our exit strategy, and but their sales cycle is much longer. So for seed developers is looking at 3 to 5 years, retailers is 1 to 3 years, and then farmers is pretty direct. So it costs us $2 to create the product. We sell it at $4 an acre. So we see a 50% gross margin on our products.
And that is time, Eddy. Sorry. Hopefully we can get to some of your last slides in the Q&A. But thank you so much. Amazing product and awesome pitch. Awesome. Michelle, could you kick us off and then we'll pass it back to Vic for the next question. Thanks again.
Hi, Eddy. Thank you. So for your biostimulant that doesn't require the EPA approval, are there limitations that about what kind of claims you can make about your product's efficacy?
Yeah, you can't make, for the biostimulant, you can't make disease claims. So once you start making disease claims is when you start going into the pesticide route, so the federal EPA. So for this one, you can just say helps the plant with nutrients, helps the plant with resilience, but you can't make any disease claims.
Thanks.
Hey, Eddy, I have some questions, and I apologize, I don't do much in agriculture. So if it's stupid questions, just tell me and go on to Bachelor who'll pull out better ones. But like, I'm trying to understand, like, are you using synthetic biology to alter bacteria that's currently in existence to create a new strand, or are you using some form of synthetic biology to scale what's already existing?
So we are using natural bacteria. I guess we do synthetically engineer them by putting them together, but they are all natural bacteria, and we do pull them from prairie lands, so they're all natural, and we insert them into the environment. So, and the reason we build combinations is because the native microbes might like outcompete the ones we put in there. So when we design it, that's something we think about. So how do we make a team of bacteria that not only can survive in these new environments, but also help the plants? And so they work on the roots of the plants and help them provide with nutrients and help them. Drought tolerance is one of them.
Yeah, and there's one of the things like that. My follow-up or my core question was: all these things generally have trouble scaling once you ask microbes to do things they don't naturally do on their own. Either they can't compete in the new environment, or the new environment is ready for them. And you had something on scaling and how it was working there. But what do you guys have in kind of a degree of confidence as to how this is going to scale in the wild across multiple farms and on the production?
So last year we did across 5 states, 8 different locations. We did see the statistical significance of 6% yield increase. Okay. And so our product is working, and it's working really well. And so the consistency is the really key that I need to drive in there, because that's a big problem right now with biologicals. If you ask farmers, where it works one time, it doesn't work another year. So ours is, our investors, our farmer partners, it's really easy to sell. Demand is definitely there for our product.
Hey, Eddy, it's really cool to see microbes being used in the agriculture sector. We actually invested in a microbe company that's using it to get more copper out of low-grade ores in the mining sector. The question I had was related to extreme weathers. I think now more than ever, with climate change, farmers are dealing with more and more extreme weather. How does your product help them navigate through those extreme conditions? And then, what are your thoughts on soil health and the impact on soil health?
Yeah, so we stress test our microbes to figure out which temperatures they actually thrive in. So so we have an idea of which microbes are going into our product. So one of the big issues that we saw in 2023 was there was like a record drought, and so our product really helped the germinations, the stand count for the product. So we applied it and we saw more plants survive the superheats, and thus which affected yield. As far as soil health, that's something we're testing this year. We did see more nodules in our soybean. So more nodules in soybean means more nitrogen available for the plant, for the corn plant if they do corn the next year. So some of the customers that we're trying now, they're really excited for that feature. So soil health is huge in that aspect, and something that we're excited about, the farmer's excited about, and that our product is doing really well at. But as for metrics for that, we will have that at the beginning of next year. So you have to do a soil sample now before you plant, then you have to do a soil sample in the middle of planting, and then you have to do a soil sample before you start the next year to get a full analysis.
Sounds good. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Amazing job. Thanks so much. Now we are finished with all 5 of our pitches, and great job to every single founder, and congratulations, an incredible job. Now our judges have the difficult job of selecting a winner, and I'll ask all 3 judges to please head into the breakout room for deliberation, and we'll see you soon. So while we deliberate, I'd love to invite Chris Gladwin and Lorenzo Mendez, our speakers for the day. Chris Gladwin is the CEO and co-founder of Ocient, which provides software for some of the world's largest data analytics systems. He has served as chair and co-founder of P33, working alongside our team to help position Chicago as a globally recognized tech hub. Chris is also the chair and co-founder of The Forge, a destination for outdoor recreation and ecosystem revitalization. And Lorenzo is a principal on the Rockefeller Foundation's Innovation Finance team, which makes grants and investments aimed at unlocking private capital flows. Prior to joining the foundation, Lorenzo was an investment banker with JP Morgan, helping clients access public and private capital markets. He began his career at Barclays Capital. Welcome, Chris and Lorenzo, and please take it away.
Thanks, Farrell. So we had said like 10 to 15 minutes. Seems like we're running a little late. We're still doing 10 to 15 minutes. Is that
10 minutes would be better.
All right, 10 minutes. Lorenzo,
right.
You got to pack a lot into a small number of words. So let's start with your work at the Rockefeller Foundation, where my understanding is you all work on unlocking private capital for climate solutions. From the perspective you have there, what emerging climate trends do you see creating the biggest opportunities for innovation right now, especially in places like Chicago and the Midwest?
Yeah, at first I want to, thank you guys for having me. And I don't think Claude's on, but I really appreciated the invite. And I only got to hear the last 3 pitches, but that was awesome. It was a bit validating too, because those are some of the spaces where we're trying to play and have played. Kind of getting back to your question, but the foundation's 112 years old, has some roots to Chicago through John D. Rockefeller, like helping start University of Chicago.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of in terms of the industrialists at the time, just a lot of history there. The foundation itself, at least in the last 50 years, probably has focused a lot on trying to back science and technology, but in a way that is equitable and provides access. And as it relates to the climate work, that's something that we launched about almost 3 years ago. And the thought process there was, all right, we have a longstanding food program, we have a health program, we have a power program, we have an economic opportunity program. And no matter how you cut that stuff, like climate and climate change and the way the environment's changing, that's impacting everything. So why don't we use that as a banner to fall under? And that includes what was at the time $1 billion commitment. And what that means is pretty much all the grant spend starting 2.5 years ago went into funding science and technological solutions that were either directly or adjacent to some kind of climate solution.
That sounds great. And one of the challenges that we hear a lot is early stage funding for climate focused startups. Is that something you're thinking about at Rockefeller? And do you have thoughts on how you can close that funding gap?
Yeah. So let me share a little bit about our team. We're about a group of 10, and half of us spend all of our time trying to think through this question. And we built a mini portfolio of sorts that tries to tackle it
Mm-hmm.
with some grants, with some investments. And yeah, for example, like hearing Steven talk about EV charging, we recently provided a grant to the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator and Lacey. And what Lacey does is they help startups run pilot projects in cities. So they help them get through all the local permitting process and whatnot. And they drive also some public money into those efforts. And so I was excited just to hear Steven's the way he was thinking about things, because that's exactly what a Lacey would look to. And kind of similarly, our team also provided a grant to Elemental Impact out in Los Angeles, and Elemental tries to back founders that are trying to have some deep community impact. And so even though if the thesis is there for something like that, that's another place that we've supported that someone like Steven would be great for. And then
Right.
hearing Eddy talk about his solution, our team invested in a venture capital fund called Trailhead. And what Trailhead tries to do is provide technological innovation for farmers or for folks in that ecosystem. So as I was hearing that pitch, that's something that our team has been trying to support since we did that last year. We invested in that fund two, I believe.
Yeah. I know you've been a part of some conversations with P33, where our objective is to transform Chicago and the Midwest to a top tier tech region.
Yeah.
And one of the things we studied in forming P33 is how have other areas done it in the past. And one of the ones I got involved with a little bit was Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was a place that transformed itself into a leading area for healthcare and automated driving, things like that. And really the way they did it was with some key family foundations like Carnegie and Mellon. And when you think, and the Rockefeller Foundation, you talked about University of Chicago. I mean, like the amount of stuff the Rockefeller family has done is just amazing. When you think about what we're trying to do at P33 with Chicago and the Midwest, what role do you think institutions like the Rockefeller Foundation can play in philanthropic and financial kind of setting up these regions for success?
Yeah, we can, we're built to take risk, and we're built to think long term.
Yeah.
So that's what's most exciting. And we part, like MacArthur Foundation is like we have like a brother sister type of relationship there. And I was lucky enough to get a quick tour of M Hub last year. And we have here in New York, and I'm a lifelong New Yorker, but I'm obsessed with Chicago. Like I love Chicago. So
cool.
Like seeing M Hub was really cool because it reminded me a lot of New Lab that we have here in Brooklyn, and reminded me a lot about Lacey that is out in LA. And I think that in addition to continuing to support like at the earliest stages and just trying to get things out of labs or getting things to prototype or product market fit, I think that's a place that is probably, especially now, philanthropy could really be supportive. Right now we're probably, like, as you guys are trying to think through, there is that scaling gap with all this, with the hardware in particular and infrastructure. And that's still a place where we're scratching our heads a little bit because especially with the uncertainty around like the Inflation Reduction Act and Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund.
Right.
We want to be we want to be a lot more surgical around that, how we're helping with some of these scaling gaps and helping get things to bankability, so that we're not overly, we're not taking risk and being patient in places where there's really no bridge to anywhere. So we're thinking a lot about that right now. That's kind of a day-to-day experience.
Yeah, one thing we've seen is that, to do this kind of economic development, transforming trillion-dollar, regional economies.
Yep.
A big part of the work is very long term. So that's why we named P33, because we started around 2013 and we want to just communicate like this is a 20-year project.
Yeah.
Don't expect to see things right away.
Yeah.
And that seems like that's one of the things that families can think. They think in terms of generations. And a lot of times there's a lot of generational timescale work to be done. We only have 2 minutes left, to deliver on our 10-minute objective here.
Yeah,
so
just
one last quick question. As you're, looking at clean tech and a lot of early stage stuff, is there a certain signal or a certain market trend that you're thinking, all right, this is going to have some real significance. I need to pay attention to this, learn about this, and, get more involved. Is there a particular theme or a trend or technology inflection point or something that you see going on right now in the clean tech world?
We were, but it's certainly evolving quickly. We thought things like stack and geothermal and, these things were more moonshotty like 6 months ago. And now that there's some backing behind it.
Energy for computing.
Energy for computing for sure. And
is happening.
I wish I could have asked you a question and we had time, because I liked your I read your article on that from last year, which I thought was tied everything pretty nicely. I mean that's something that that's going to be the conversation moving forward. Next week is San Fran Climate Week, so and then also we have Earth Day and apparently a few announcements potentially. So that's one thing. But solar, things that the unit economics work, they're ready for scale. There we think we can still continue to help with at a minimum access, equitable access. But yeah, these upcoming wealth building opportunities, that's where TBD.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's been 10 minutes on the dot. So to ferry you out there, can we hand it back to you?
Our judges are still deliberating, so I think we have a chance for 2 more questions. Lorenzo, if you want to shoot the question that you were hoping to ask Chris. Judges, it's a hard call, so continue.
No, I mean, Chris, and I mean, it's inspiring your work on like the Forge and on the data side. So that's the question, but like I read the article you put out on I think Fortune or Forbes last year, and I'm wondering from then to now, like where you're spending, like is that thesis still holding, or how are you adjusting your thesis of like the interconnection between the data center energy needs and like the nature piece and whatnot?
Well, I guess, two big themes in there to unpack. One is what, I've been in computing since really it kind of went mainstream in the 80s.
Yeah.
So we've never, like the whole computing industry, the whole time has kind of been this self-contained bubble where its limits to growth, its limits to advancement was always kind of internal. Like, could we make the technology better? Could we make it bigger, faster, cheaper? And so for 50 years, that's what we've been doing. And every time, there's been a challenge to overcome, we made it bigger, faster, cheaper, but we always use more energy. That was how we did it. And, other than portable computing, which got to deal with this, starting in the 90s, all the back end big power stuff, we just keep using an accelerating amount of energy. And that just wasn't an issue. When you're growing from 0.1% of global energy production to 0.12%.
Yeah.
But now here we are, and we're like kind of crossing the 10% of energy is now going to computing, and it's accelerating, and there's just no way energy production can accelerate. And so, we now are, for the first time having to deal with this. So that's like the big trend going on computing right now.
Yeah.
And then, the thing happening with the world, I think the big thing there is, for a long time, I think the whole environmental movement, well-intentioned, was like, okay, this global warming thing, let's make it not happen.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't work. I think it's time to just accept that, like, it's going to happen. Like, we were trying to hold this to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Like, we crossed that last year. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to
tomorrow.
happen.
Yeah.
So now it's like, how do we mitigate the damage? And how, that's really what it's a different mindset. And so, that I think that's just a whole shift in the environmental movement. And the other thing I've come to learn a lot through the work at the Forge is like doing good things for the environment, for the environment is not like we just gotta like step away and leave it alone. Like we have so affected nature and ecosystems that you can't leave them alone because we've left them kind of in a mess. And so you got to get active about it. And it really works. Some of the stuff we're doing at the Forge is just so exciting. All right, it looks like everyone's coming back.
Yes, amazing. An incredible conversation, Chris and Lorenzo. So grateful for you both for joining us. So now back to our judges. It's the moment that we've all been waiting for. And without further ado, judges, can you please announce the runner-up and winner? And just a reminder that the runner-up and winner will go on through the process to potentially compete at the finale competition. Judges, take it away.
Well, okay, I was selected as our spokesperson. And first of all, I want to thank everybody, P33 and just the whole team and the founders today. You guys are phenomenal, phenomenal. Without further ado, the first runner-up is Klaravia. And the winner is Salutaba. Yewande, what a wonderful product. We're all so impressed. We really hope you all succeed, but we were especially impressed with what you've created.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. We are more than grateful, and I'm almost in tears. Thank you so much. This means a lot to us. This would really push further our R&D efforts and help us further scale our venture. We are so grateful. Thank you very much to the judges. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Yewande, and I'm hoping for 2 sizes and my boy sizes as they go through shoes every week. But congratulations to all of our founders that represented today and represented well for Chicago and the clean tech ecosystem. So thank you again for joining us. We hope to see you at Tech Chicago Week and the Capital Summit this year, happening July 21st through the 27th, which is the largest gathering of founders and investors during our city's Tech Week. Again, thank you to all that joined us today, and check back for the next TechRise competition. Have a great Earth Day.